Alright guys, I want to show you guys how to make thick. Alright, this is better. At least I can see that people can see. I guess my other phone wasn't working well, but I want to show you guys how to make thick textured paintings. So what I like to do, first of all, I have Gamsol right here. So I like to use Gamsol and oil paint and oil, linseed oil. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take some Gamsol here, and this helps the flow a lot. But I'm gonna take a little bit of linseed oil too. I'm gonna use a combination of that because that controls the pigment. If I use just the Gamsol, it breaks up the paint. But if I add a little bit of that linseed oil, it's gonna help me keep some of that paint binded. What I want to do is start adding in a crap ton of paint. Now look, I got paint all over my fingers too. And with the knife, it's real easy. You guys can see the most resistance you get is actually that first layer. What I suggest doing is covering that whole canvas with a big brush, but I'm going to skip over that. I kind of like the resistance right now. This is a new color I got, so I want to try out this purple. I'm going to use just the knife. It's going to be hard, but I think I can cover that up. I'm going to throw in some of this white. You guys can see I'm getting this paint really thick, and if I use more linseed oil right here, it helps. It helps it butter it down a little bit. It helps the flow too. So it's not just going to stay in one spot. I can kind of take it and I can spread it. And I want to get the most paint I can, the first layer like that. And then what I can do, since the paint on here is pretty much, it's wet, it's kind of activated, I can take just the linseed oil, take it over here, and use the paint on the canvas and spread that around itself. So you guys can make a lot of cool different textures. And I love using the knife because I don't have to use a million different sizes. I can make sharp lines. I can use this flat side right up here, lay it down. I can also do, let's see what else I can do. I can kind of dab at it, create all sorts of different textures. I'm just showing you guys different ways to use the knife. Usually before I start getting all these crazy textures, I do cover the whole canvas first. So that should be the first goal. But you guys can see, let me show you what happens when I cover the canvas first. The thing about the brush, it's just too controlled. You guys can see that whole application of the brush is very predictable. The strokes, everything. You know, look at that. It's so different compared to all the unique things happening on here. That's why I love the knife. But the brush is great to initially cover the canvas. I should be using a bigger brush, but I'm too lazy to grab one. So let's just throw on random colors on there. I had this awesome purple. Maybe I'll throw in some more white. Usually when I'm in the flow, I don't even bother grabbing the knife. The knife to mix. That's usually what the knife is meant for in the first place, to mix the paint itself. So now I have this nice little middle area to work with. I don't have to cover everything just for this demonstration purpose. I'm going to kind of activate this. That means kind of work wet on wet. You guys can see I have linseed oil on there. I have the Gamsol on there, and I have a good combination of both, which means if I had just the Gamsol, watch what happens if I have just this Gamsol. That means it would be running. You guys see that? Look how thin that is. That's good to spread out, but when you use too much, it's running all over the place. So the linseed oil really helps balance that out. So let's go back in here. I'm just going to throw in a bunch of colors. Boom, 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 boom. it looks like a mess. But that's just part of the process. I hate getting paint on everything. I need to get white. Or even this blue is going to be awesome. Let's get that radiant blue out. It's an opaque color. It's an opaque pigment, but it should be nice. So watch this. Usually with thicker paintings, once you have like a nice ground, you can just start. You can start laying down. You guys can see I'm kind of handling it in different ways. Now the key to making something really nice in terms of composition, composing something, is like playing an instrument. You want to have a variety of strokes. Not everything is going to look the same. Now you guys can see there's already a lot of different stuff going on. There's some sharp edges over here. There's some softer edges over there. It's all about how well you handle your materials. I can press hard, get sharper edges, or I can kind of graze along the surface there and get softer strokes. Well, depends on how much paint is underneath that knife to work with. So there you go. And I'm using all the stuff I already put down before this layer to work. And this is usually done as like an alla prima painting, which means like a one-layer painting. I usually like to finish the knife ones in one layer. But if I come back, usually the second layer, it's always really rewarding if you have that patience, you know. Boom, boom. So you guys can see I've moved in one layer. I can kind of come back and push it even farther. That's the cool thing about the knife. No matter what you lay down, it's not going to blend in. It's almost like you're adding layers without waiting. So I can keep thickening that amount of paint. Watch this. Make some buildings or something, right? I have mostly a cool color palette right there. Boom, boom. Kind of want to spread out that composition. Now I'm treating the strokes differently. I'm not just going up and down. I can create horizontal strokes. A couple things I like to keep in mind. Usually the things that are the farthest, so this comes back to perspective, the things that are the farthest will be the foggiest or the least contrast, right? So I want to make sure, to make this seem like that place is going farther and farther, I want to make it less opaque and less sharper. Usually the things closer to you will have the more sharper edges. I'm going to just take a random, I'm just sticking to two colors right now. I really like that purple. So now, since this is a foreground, this is closer to us, it's going to recede that way. Okay, let's just say that's going to happen. Things in the foreground can have sharper edges. Usually these paintings in the beginning are like, what the heck is this guy doing? But you guys can see, boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Fezzo? Hey, thanks. So you guys can see now this looks farther, but this looks a little bit more grounded and sharper, right? So I can even add on top of that. So let's get that purple. You guys can see the more pigment, the more paint I use, it gets darker and darker. And some areas I want to keep that. Bam, 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 right? This is so effortless. And you can get all sorts of cool effects. And I control the pressure. So as it's going this way, further down the street or wherever, it looks like it's kind of receding because I'm going darker to light. So that's one way to create perspective. Oh yeah, I love the purple. It's actually a new color. It's freaking incredible. I love it. I think I'm going to start using it a lot. I do have some commissions to finish up on, but I'm kind of itching to do my own work right now, you know? That's the only reason I'm kind of doing this little demonstration thing. Check that out. See? Sometimes I don't even think about what I'm creating, and just the process of creating in itself brings out something like this. Check that out. Right? I like that a lot. It is a pretty spiritual process here. Oh, that's nice. And sometimes I love having nothing to look at, no references. Then I can create things like this without worrying about, oh, it's supposed to look like something or whatever. So I also try to balance out my color palettes. So I have some cools here, right? It'd be interesting to add some warms, maybe some sunlight or something over there to balance. So let's see. Now usually I like to clean my palette in between colors, but it's not a big deal. Let me grab some of my messy, oh my gosh, look how dirty that yellow is. That's fine. I don't care. Sometimes I just don't care. There we go. Grab some of that white. Boom. Look at that. That's mucky. That little bit of purple mixed in there. I think it's cool sometimes. Whatever color I'm working with, if it mixes with my next color, there's always a sense of unity in the palette itself. So let's say this is like a building or something, and I'm leading towards a sunset or something. Watch this. So I can kind of go in there and kind of effortlessly put in that light down there. And it'll be fine because that purple's already mixed in, and that purple on the canvas already will not resist as much. There's a sense of unity there. This is just knowing how to, just knowing what colors you would like and how to create some sort of unity within your palette. So I love that. So it's all about strokes and finding ways to make that color ease in a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. And just having fun with it, really. Can't be stressed about this. So that's a little bit ambiguous as well. So maybe I can add a little bit something more concrete, something brighter. I do want some orange on there. Maybe some of this Naples yellow is going to be interesting. Ooh, look at that. That's like gold right there. It's all about having fun! Oh, look at that. Now, usually with the light, let's say this is my sunlight or something really bright, I love to go thick with it. Nice, nice. Nice! Ha 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 ha. That's nice. Check that out. I think I did that subconsciously anyways. You know, purple and yellow are right across the color wheel from each other, then they complement each other. So you can also think about complementary colors. Like red and green for Christmas, you know. But I think I can work with that yellow. I can start working out. Not that I don't work out, just working out towards the edges here. But because I kind of kept it, I kept the whole thing in the center for this demonstration. You guys can see the raw canvas being out there, which isn't a big deal. I can spread out, right? Because I have so much paint on that, the thickness of the paint here, because there's so much paint on that canvas, I can actually just use what I have there and spread out. Just want to make sure I don't mess up my concrete. Really, you couldn't tell? So check this out. More of this linseed oil. These are the thicker strokes. Sometimes I actually like when I'm getting such a resistance on the raw canvas right here. So check that out. I think those are very interesting strokes. So I think it's a matter of just trying different kinds of applications on the canvas. But I do encourage covering all of these dead spaces. Boom, 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 boom. Like if this was just an empty canvas without those strokes, it's just space that's not activated. And I just drink coffee, so I don't know what I'm blabbing on about. There we go. It's something, you know. It's at least the foundation for something, you know. I don't like the way this is so uniform. That means I gotta break up some of that yellow. I don't like having things so obvious and stuck in one spot. You know, the key is always variety, whether it's in the composition, the way the eye is moving, or whether you're doing the strokes themselves, the techniques, or the composing of the elements. I don't want everything laid out for you, the line of the light, straight line like that. Alright. Let's try that again with that gold. There we go. I think I'm going to try to go a lot thicker actually. But I need to keep it off balance. I don't want your eyes to get stuck in one spot. What happens when I switch up the balance is now your eye can go up, read this, and kind of move that way. But it has to be uneven. Like one has to be higher right here. Maybe one of those buildings or whatever you want to call that. There. The key is having variety. Oh, I like that a lot better. This large pillar shape is kind of like a complement to this mass of purple there. And I feel like I can go a lot darker with that purple. So let's go grab that purple. And what I'm going to do now, actually, I want to work on that foreground. So I got that purple, I got that burnt umber. Let's mix those. That's going to give me such a dark color. I like the raw, nice, vibrant purple there, but I think I can push some of this foreground a little bit more. I can get that shadow to be a little bit more robust also, while keeping it pretty unified while I blend in with that purple I put down earlier. This is kind of like dabbing on the canvas there. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Archu? Sat Sri Akal ji, Jasal, Akashdeep. Alright, now you can see, now there's a nice range, a movement from dark to a little bit lighter, and then the lightest. So our eyes, the human eye, generally moves from, or generally reads left to right, but also darker to lighter, or lighter to darker. It depends on how you compose the piece. So, boom. I really love that purple. So I'm throwing a ton of that purple. Now, when I lay down the thicker stroke, the weight is on that purple. Can pull it down. I can add elements here, darker elements. So now we're not just stuck in one spot, you know. And I can have that purple blend out a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. What's up, Tammy? Tammy? Nice. There we go. I think that adds some interesting elements there, right? You guys can see I'm getting somewhere. What's up, Devinder? No, you know, international commissions, man, I've done them before and they're not easy. You know, there's always these random fees. There's sales tax. There's tons for shipping. I try to stay away from international. So you guys can see I have the shadow up here, kind of like the midtones, and now those are the highlights. What I want to do right here, I'm going to make this transition from shadow to this light a little bit more smooth. I want to get rid of some of those lights. They just look like it's just foggy and there's no real definition there. So let's get some definition there. A little bit more Yeah, there we go. Maybe some sharper lines heading towards that way. I can break up those lines. I always want to break up shapes. Thank you. But I do send prints there. You know, I have my print shop, so you can order anything off the paintings that I've already done, just not personal commissions. You know, that's very difficult currently, at least. It's not something I can focus on at the moment. But I am coming to India in a few months, actually. So you might be able to catch me in Punjab if you're there. Oh, check that out. Those are nice. Really interesting shapes. And you guys can see, this is the part where I kind of look for things I can solidify. So I like what's happening here. It almost looks like a tank with some flags on it or something. So I'm going to take some thicker amount of paint. Let's just take that burnt umber. All I've done is use like basically three overall colors, but I'm going to take this dark shape, kind of get it to be a little bit more concrete. You guys can see I'm slowing down. Boom. You see that? Boom. That's nice. Now this almost looks like it's much closer to us than the vague blended edges back there. You know, this is just such thicker amounts of paint. There we go. I generally try to cover my three values. Shadows, like the midtones, the highlights, right? So that's a good place to stop. It's kind of just like a quick color study sketch. I'll be in, it's near Bathinda, man. I live near Bathinda. I gotta work on this piece next, guys. So I'm gonna take a break for a few minutes. I'll be right back. I gotta work on that tonight. Yeah, my place is a mess right now. Working on that purple one back there. Okay. I'll see you guys in a few minutes.